Hello and welcome back to the show. So I'm excited today to be sitting here with my guest, Guy Messina, who is an expert in reoccurring sales. And today we're going to be talking about more or less a different sales approach than what other real estate agents in the industry have been hearing about as far as prospecting. So we're going to give you guys a little bit of a different perspective on how you are able to generate reoccurring sales, either with former clients, getting more referrals, or getting new clients as well. So Guy is the author of a very famous book called Moneycall, and I'm very excited to be sitting with him here today. And without further ado, I'm going to bring him on to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here because I think you're going to be able to offer a very different perspective on how sales is conducted and how people can go out there and make recurring sales with either former clients or people they've already worked with in the past. So before we get into all of that, I would love for you to be able to kind of tell us a little bit more about you, how you got into this industry, what are you doing now, and kind of what your approach is when it comes to sales.
Right. So I'm an engineer and an MBA. So everything that has to do with non-sales, that's what I am. Right. So I didn't like sales at all. And the fact that people called sales art, that made me stay away from it really far. I didn't like the approach of you need to say this and you need to say that and you need to close this and you need to do that. I didn't like that salesy approach. I felt that salespeople should all be dead. We should all just put everything online and everything will be fun. Especially when you're an engineer and they call you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they say, wait, we have something urgent for a special client and we need to get it done. You need to produce it. You need to work overtime over the weekend and blah, 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 blah. So obviously, I didn't start with a good opinion about sales. Then I became a management consultant, and I became the manager for the branch of what became later RSM, which is one of the top 5 management consulting firms in the world. And I said, okay, so here I am. I'm a management consultant. People will come to me and I'll be the consultant. No, it doesn't happen that way. You need to sell it first and then you can become a consultant. I said, sell me? How can that be? Well, they sent me over to IBM to take a sales process training, and that changed the whole idea because now process being an industrial engineer, I understand steps. So now it started to make a lot more sense. Then I discovered a guy by the last name Rackham, who made spin sales, which is a very interesting scientific approach to sales. He was not a salesperson. He was just an analyst. And he decided to divide sales into $100 or more or $100 or less. And what he found is closing techniques did not work well when sales were over $100, real estate, right? So when it's less than $100, selling camera film or selling something that is very simple to buy, hey, would you like it in red or would you like it in blue? Those selling closing techniques would work. Not in real estate, not in recurrent sales in my industry, air conditioning. So again, I became interested in the science of selling. What I found is that industries like real estate, software, or insurance, where you life insurance for certain, that you sell once in a lifetime, you need to be looking for prospects all the time. You need to be making presentations and then you need to close. With recurrent sales, you don't do any of that. You pick your clients, you decide to understand those clients, you decide to call them, get information, and help them buy. And that is the basic difference between the two. And then, because you're talking to many real estate people, I will make some relationships in the process. But I wanted to start by saying the process will be radically different for recurrent sales versus one in a long while sale like real estate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's very interesting that you kind of brought up that when you heard about sales in the like in the first place, right? You weren't very interested in it. You didn't really like that approach, right? You were kind of writing off all salespeople. But then when you kind of learned a little bit more about, the process and the science of sales, that was really what intrigued you. So I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit about, what that is and pretty much just why it's important in order for in order to be more effective in sales to have that process in place instead of just kind of winging it and just using your enthusiasm, if you will.
Right. So winging it is one thing that a lot of salespeople do instead of preparation. Okay. So before I got on the podcast with you, I studied some of the previous podcasts that you have done to see more or less what is the type of interview that you do. And the same thing we should do with clients. We should understand what is it that they're looking for? Why is it that they're buying now? Who is making the decisions? And make a lot of those information into statistics and put people in brackets so it's easier for you to understand what's going on. And that's exactly what uh, um, um, Hagam did before when he did $100 or more or $100 or less. Okay, he tried to make divisions so he could understand. That's why we say we ask the 5 key questions. In recurrent sales, we're selling all the time to the same people. So the first question would be, why do you like doing business with us? The second question would be, why do you like doing business with the competition? And again, you're getting information. So a lot of the mistakes salespeople make is they quit after they get one answer. So what do you like about doing business with us? Oh, you give us the best price. Okay, so what do you like about doing business with the competition? You went too fast to the next one. You said, okay, besides price, is there something else you like about doing business with us? So you're trying to get information so you understand what they buy. When a real estate agent has a client, the client obviously is buying a piece of property. But when they're buying from you, you want to understand what is it that they want. Do they want you to refer them to a good agency that gets them the best interest rates? Sorry, do you want them to refer to a good inspector? You want to know what is it that they really want from you so you can do a good job at it. And what is one thing that a lot of salespeople are bad and real estate people are certainly bad at this? Following up. It takes 5 follow-ups to close 88% of all sales. And that's statistics, and that's the science that I'm talking about. So if you know that, you need to follow up on the clients. You need to know what is it that they like? What is it that they didn't like? What is it that you could do to help them make the best decision for whatever property they're looking for? And again, in our industry, when we're selling the manufacturer to the distributor, it's always the same thing. So you need data based on what they ordered before. Okay, before you ordered XYZ product every month, and now it's been 2 months since you ordered. Is there any reason for that? And all you're trying to do is ask a question to get information. And that's where winging it doesn't work. You need to prepare a set of questions to ask your clients to understand what is it that they're buying. And that's where the science comes in. Nobody likes to be sold. We all love to buy. So tell me what you buy. Tell me what you're really looking for, and let me help you get that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think for a lot of industries, right? Like you mentioned the two brackets of sales, right? Under 100 and over 100. I think a lot of, industries where you're selling products or services that are over $100, it should be that approach, right? It's not so much I'm trying to sell somebody something and push them to make a decision. It's understanding what it is that they want to buy, their habits, right? What are they looking for? And then you help them make that decision to actually go buy, which is something that you said earlier in the show as well. Is that something that you would say is correct? It's not, you don't want to think of it from a perspective of sales, but you want to think of it as, there's somebody who needs a product or service, and you're just helping them make a better decision on whether or not what you're offering is for them.
Yep, that's perfect. If you think of yourself of not selling anything, but just helping people buy, you're going to do really well. If you think that you sell, you're in the wrong business. You just need to ask the right questions to help people buy. And one thing that real estate agents really do well is they show at least 3 properties to most people. And what we teach in our industry is present at least 3 quotes, because that gives you 76% higher probability of actually making the sale. So a lot of real estate people, they do that because they've been taught, because the agency requires it. But in reality, data shows that if you give people 3 choices, you will have a higher percentage of closing. If you give them too many choices, they'll go crazy and they'll never make up their mind. But if you do provide 3 choices, if you do follow up, if you ask the right questions, you're going to help your people buy from you a lot easier than from anybody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Because people want to have a choice, right? They don't want to just be pushed or cornered into one decision, right? For giving them, more or less the illusion or the reality of having a choice, then they're much more likely to make a decision. So I love that you brought that up because, you don't want to give people too many choices, but you do want to give them enough of a wiggle room in order to make a decision on their own instead of being just pushed and cornered into one decision.
Absolutely. The other thing that I would say is don't present. And real estate agents, they love to present. Okay. So instead of presenting, ask questions. Okay. So again, they said they wanted a pool. They said they wanted you to help them find a good inspector. They said they wanted you to find an agency that got them the best rates. Whatever is it that they ask you for, present that to them and ask, is that working for you? Is that what you were looking for? Okay. And ask before so you know exactly what they're buying. Instead of saying, imagine yourself being here enjoying dinner, which is exactly what real estate agents do, right? They're just giving you this story, but they're making it up. Okay. But the people that went there, they just lost their family. They don't want to think about a family dinner. So you should have asked before you painted that picture. And again, I hope a lot of people take that into heart and do research and ask the right questions before they start showing anything.
Right. That is something that I think is super important when it comes to effective sales in any industry, which is you have to gather data first before you make any kind of statements or presentations because everybody makes their decisions differently. There is a different reason for somebody to buy or not buy something. And a lot of times you're absolutely correct, which is real estate agents just kind of assume the reasons or assume the values of their clients instead of actually gathering that data and then presenting what it is they have in a way that is, congruent with what the client actually wants, instead of just going out there and just presenting something cookie cutter to everybody, right? And that's not going to be an effective way of selling anything to anyone.
Right. And in my case, again, we have the same clients buying from us over and over again. And real estate people will kill for an industry like that. But obviously, the transaction value is lower. Now, the key here is in our industry is to ask yourself a question. Do we sell or does the customer buy? Because what happens is a lot of the manufacturers get calls all the time from the distributor. Hey, I need you to send me this. I need you to send me that. I want a whole container of this and a whole container of that. And then the contractor does the same thing from the distributor. So they're calling, they're getting calls all day long, and they're just saying, yes, 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 yes. Okay, tomorrow, yes, tomorrow. Instead of actually selling. These people are buying from you. Now, you need to decide who's going to be your client? And how many clients are you going to handle so you can be proactive? You are in control when you are proactive. When you are reactive, the customer is in control. And that's something that happens also in your industry. We throw a bunch of publicity, we want to get a bunch of leads, and then we are reactive to whoever calls us. Now, in your industry, I understand that that is perhaps the name of the game for 90% of your sales, but there's 10% of your sales that are truly more recurrent than people give you credit for. And that's when you need to call your clients a week after they took possession of the house, now that they moved in, now that they've slept a couple of times, that they invited a couple of friends. Okay, how's everything going? How do you like this? That pool that you talked about so much, how does it feel? How was the last party that you had? Anybody wants to talk to me so I can help them get the exact same experience that you got? And that's how you become proactive. But a lot of salespeople are afraid to make that call. There's, I don't want them to be finicky and ask me to fix this and get that. You're going to get that for sure. But again, if you are proactive, that is the price to pay. And it's a small price to pay for a lot of the referrals that you're going to get. And that's what happens in our industry as well. So we call the minute that they got the air conditioner. Hey, did you get it? Was the box fine? Was there any dent? Everything was exactly like you wanted. Yes, great. After 10 calls, now this is a recurrent. I'm going to have a video with these people, make a testimony. I want them to refer me to a friend. I want them to give me a letter. Okay, so there's many things that people can do besides just give you a new client that could definitely help you. So imagine if somebody says, oh, I don't have anybody that really wants to buy a house right now, but are you really happy with what we did? Yes. Do you mind if we shoot a quick video of you saying how happy you were for everything that I've done? Oh, of course. And then you do a selfie, very informal, put it on LinkedIn, put it on Facebook, and a lot of people are going to see that. And some of these people's friends are going to see that on Facebook as well. How many real estate agents do that? How many people in my industry do it? Not very many. And that's where a salesperson that wants to be proactive needs to take control of the whole process.
Absolutely. And that's something that, real estate agents don't do a good enough job of, I think, which is following up with the client after the sale has been made. And they kind of just see it as, okay, the transaction's been completed. I've gotten my commissions. This person is not worth anything to me, right? Where instead you should need to be taking a different approach, which is how can I follow up with them after the sale, right? How can I keep in contact with them? What are other services that you can offer to them or their circle of influence or their friends, right? And then even if it's just something as little as leaving, an agent a review either on Facebook or on Google My Business, that's something very valuable, right? Because that can generate you more leads and more prospects that can lead to more sales in the future as well. And there's something else that you mentioned a little bit earlier on as well, which is, not just, being reactive to all of the clients that are out there, but actually being proactive and picking who it is that you want to work with based on your service. So do you mind kind of explaining a little bit about, the importance of that, importance of potentially niching down when it comes to sales and why that actually makes your services more valuable than if you were to just kind of take everybody who is more or less in the market?
Right. So I'm going to divide that in two different approaches, one for your industry and one for my industry. So let me start with my industry first. In my industry, being recurrent sales, if you handle too many clients, you're not going to be proactive. So we already found out this is a science where if you're handling your clients by phone, you cannot handle more than 100 clients. So if you want to be proactive, you cannot have 100 clients that buy from you all the time. Otherwise, they're going to be calling you asking for stuff because you have 500 people. You're never going to be on making the call first. And that call that you do make is based on data. You analyze what is it that they're buying and what is it that they're not buying that they should buy. So when you call, you can say, hey, Kobe, you order XYZ from me every month, and I'm really happy about that, yet you never order B with it. Is there any reason for that? And you just get information. All right. So again, you be proactive by handling less amount of clients. In my industry, if it's call 100, if it's visit clients, up to 25 to 30 at the most. If you visit clients, 30. Now, in your industry, it's important, like most industries, if you're doing something for everybody, you're not doing anything for anybody. The reason is you cannot specialize in apartments. You cannot specialize in family homes. You cannot specialize in offices. You cannot specialize in just move-in families, just people that won the lottery. Whatever it is, you need to make sure you have a niche, because that will allow for everybody to say, this is the expert for my situation. You're not going to handle the person that needs an office space in Manhattan, because that is not your niche. But you're in the niche of just move-in families in New York City. Those are going to be my people. And especially if they're in XYZ income bracket. Okay. So when you do that, those people are going to raise their hand and say, I need someone that does exactly that. And your marketing is also going to be a lot easier, because you want to attract those people. So you want to do marketing that tells people, if you're looking for this, I am your person. If you're looking for something else, go look for somebody else. And that's what brings the best value. And a lot of people want to sell to everybody. And if you think about it, not even Coke. Coca-Cola doesn't have 100% market share. And they have 58,000 gazillion products. Sugar, no caffeine, zero, whatever. Okay? Because they need to target to whoever needs in that particular market. If you exercise, if you avoid sugar, if you are somebody who's thinking about health, they have a product for that. It's called water, and they also make it, right? So again, in marketing and in sales, you need to know what's your niche. And in real estate, a lot of agents make the mistake of wanting to sell to everybody. And I hope that at least I made the message really clear that you need to be precise on your niche.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And I love that comparison that you made with Coke, because that's not, people don't think about it, right? People think about, these huge companies that are out there and, well, they market to everybody, right? Well, they don't have a niche, right? So why should I have one, right? Market share, right? How do I expand my market share? And it's important to expand market share. It always is, right? The larger your market share, the more opportunities you're going to have. But you're absolutely right with Coke products, right? They even have niche down products within their company, right? Like they do, actually sell and produce water and Coca-Cola as well and different things like that. So you need to be able to find, I call it like a match, right? A match between the services or the product that you're offering and the customer avatar that you're trying to promote that to. And it has to match, because if it doesn't, then you become that pushy salesperson that nobody really likes, because you're trying to sell somebody something that they have no business or interest in buying.
Right. And again, when you're talking about expanding market share, now that you're in EXP, right? If you are not the office person, but you want to branch out into that market, you don't have to be, right? You can just have somebody else handle that side of the business. And you stay in the business that you like, or the business that you know best, or the business that you can serve your customers better. And again, let somebody else handle the other part of the business. And just like Coke, they sell different type of Coke, but if you're into the healthy side of the whole industry, then you're going to pitch the Sunny water, and it's their product as well. So they're expanding, but they did not expand with Coke. They expanded with water. And you can do the same. You could expand with other sides of the real estate business, but it doesn't have to be you. It could be somebody else.
Right, absolutely, right. You can, send out a referral, earn a referral fee from, a different agent who specializes in a property type or a neighborhood or different market that you're in, right? And I've seen also a lot of teams as well where, they have agents who specializes in different areas or different types of properties. Maybe you have a team of two or, 5 agents. One is a specialist in investment properties, one is a specialist in first time home buyers, right? And then somebody else is a specialist in like warehouses. And people are able to work together that way as well, which is a really interesting strategy for agents to be able to expand their market without having to, overextend themselves when it comes to trying to provide services that they're not able to do. So I think something else that I really want to get your take on, and I think this is more or less similar to recurring sales, which is there's a lot of people who are watching this and listening to this who are either looking to build or start a team of real estate agents or are already doing that. And when it comes to building a team and recruiting agents, a lot of people take the approach of, hey, I'm just going to bring somebody in and never going to talk to them again, versus what you should be doing, which is bring somebody in and also continuing to proactively support them. So I'd love to kind of get your take on that and maybe kind of see the comparisons between what you guys are doing in your industry and maybe what real estate agents are doing if they are trying to build a team or build an organization within EXP like I'm doing, which is bring agents in, but also being able to proactively help them once they have come over, because it's very similar to more or less a subscription model.
Of course. So again, in my industry and in any industry, the key is don't sell. Learn what people buy and help them to get it. And the same thing happens with personnel. Right now, the number one industries in the world, they're considering their employees like customers because there's not that many good people left to hire. So you better keep the people that you already have. And what is it that you need to do? You need to do a stay interview. Okay, how many times have you heard about a stay interview? And that's what you need to do. You need to find out, why do you want to stay here? What is it that you like about this company? What is it that you like about your job? What would you make better? What would you improve? So that person doesn't leave, right? So the same thing you would do in order to recruit your team. What is it that you're looking for? What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you're willing to do? Because everybody, if you ask people, do you want to make more money? 100% of the people raise their hand. But when you say, what are you willing to do to make more money? That's when you get them. And the other thing is the reverse Pareto. I'm pretty sure that you understand the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. So 20% of your clients are going to give you 80% of your sales. But at the same time, 20% of your actions provide 80% of your results. So in your particular case, that goes on two levels. 20% of what you do with your clients will get you 80% of the results, but also 20% of what you do with your team will also give you 80% of that result. So the first thing you need to do is find out, what is it that they're buying to be part of your team? What is it that they're looking for? What is it that they want to achieve? And everybody's going to say, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, but what are you willing to do to make that money? Are you willing to go out and recruit people? Are you willing to go and make presentations? Are you willing to ask the right questions to clients so you can show people how to do a consultative sale approach, not a presentation based approach of selling? And that is what makes the whole difference on getting that team together and having it stick together. And in sales, you're always going to have people that say one thing, but they don't really mean it. So don't feel bad if they leave. You want them to go. You want them to go. But you want to keep in that team those people that you're keeping in the stay interview. You need to stay asking them, how do you like everything so far? What would you improve? That stay interview needs to be constant. It can't be just once a year. It'd be too late, especially now. You want to do it maybe every 3 months, and you want it to be informal. You want them to see you as a friend, as a coach. And that's what coaches do. They just ask questions.
Wow, that was very valuable what you just shared there for anybody who's looking to build a team. I learned a lot as well because, everybody knows, you know, asking their team members or, asking their agents, if you will, of, what did you like about, what do you want to do when you're with us, right? Why did you join our team? Why did you join our brokerage? What do you want to do? What are your goals, right? That is pretty common across the board. Everybody asks that, but the add-on of what are you willing to do, I think it's so important because everybody wants that success, but everybody will approach it from a different way, right? Everybody's going to put in different amounts of effort and different pockets of strategies and tasks and different things you're going to have to do. And that question, the way that it's asked, what are you willing to do? It's not so much, what do you want to do? It's what are you actually going to do in order to ensure that success? So that is very important. And another point there is, recruiting people is one thing, but also re-recruiting them when they're already on your team and having that, like you mentioned, stay interview every 3 months consistently to, kind of check the pulse, if you will, of what are people liking, what would they change, what has changed in their life, what are the changes that has happened within your organization, is it positive or negative, getting that feel so that way you can adjust and make it better and retain more people in the future as well.
And another way to see that is when people are making 100,000 every year on commissions, okay? And you ask them, do you want to make more money? Of course. Okay. Now, if you keep doing what you're doing, do you think you're going to make more than 100,000? No. So that's where, so what is it that you're willing to do so that you can actually go up to the 300,000, to the million level? You're going to need to recruit more people. Are you going to need to improve on your sales side? Are you going to need to improve on the way that you ask questions so you get information? And a lot of people in sales, they just want to keep things the same. You ask them, when was the last time you read a book on sales? Oh my God, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? He said, imagine if LeBron James did that. Okay. LeBron James said, man, I'm the king of the NBA. I'm not going to practice anymore. He'd be dead. So that's a problem for a lot of salespeople in all industries. We don't study anymore. We don't practice anymore. And that takes the edge out. So if you're wanting to actually go up to another level, look, what is it that you need to do in order to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. You always have to be improving. You always have to be adapting to the changes and even going back and reviewing some of the things that you learned earlier in your career, your business that has helped you but maybe you kind of strayed away from as you were growing and being more comfortable with your results, right? And that's how you build longevity, that's how you move forward, and that's how you are able to make those adjustments in order to stay on top of things, continue building on the success that you have, and also grow as well. But Yi, I really appreciate you being here today. You shared a ton of value and really made some really valuable connections based on what you guys are doing in your industry and on what can be applied in the real estate industry as well. For anybody who is out there that is watching or listening to this that want to learn more about you, maybe want to get their hands on a copy of your book, what are some of the best ways for them to reach you or find you?
Absolutely. So the easiest way is LinkedIn, right? So you're look for Guitze, Guitze, and the last name Messina, and you can link up with me on LinkedIn. You can look at my book on Amazon, right? That blue book with Moneycall. If you're in a recurrent sales industry, you will get much more value out of the book than if you're in real estate. Obviously, there were some things that I wanted to relate to your audience, so it would make sense to them. And obviously, following up, getting statistics, doing data, having a chart of how much sales does XYZ person does versus how many showings did he do, how many actions of sales, because that's a lot of people said, well, look at the results. No, it's the action. How many showings? How many people did he bring to a particular situation? How many leads did they were able to generate from previous clients? And those are going to be the people at the top. But if you don't chart it, you're never going to see it. And I think that that applies into any industry, but my industry, it's a bit different. I just wanted to give you some nuggets that it would be valuable to your audience.
Right, absolutely. And I also do encourage everybody to, especially people in the real estate industry who are watching or listening to this, to explore strategies and explore principles, if you will, that are applied in businesses and other industries, because you never know what you're going to learn. You never know how you can apply it. And that's really going to give you a competitive edge because everybody else in the real estate industry is learning just within that circle, right? And if you think outside
Exactly.
the box, you can bring something new and fresh, and that's really going to improve your business and your success as well. But we'll make sure to leave the links down to that in the description and the show notes down below, so that way it's easy for people to find. But other than that, Guy, thank you again for being here. Before we let you sign off, is there any last tips, any last pieces of advice you want to leave with us here today?
I would say stick to a system. Make a system of sales, stick to it, follow up, make that call after you sell. You're going to get a lot more people. Go get it.
Awesome, man. Thank you, and thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on the next show. Take
All
care.
right. Take care, guys.